It was just after midnight when the phone rang. The police station was quiet that night. The town of Ashford was the kind of place where nothing unusual ever happened. Most nights passed slowly, with little more than paperwork and the occasional noise complaint to break the silence. Dispatch operator Linda Harper was sitting behind the front desk, flipping through a small notebook while the clock ticked softly on the wall. Then the phone rang. Linda reached over and answered. Ashford Police Department. For a moment, there was only silence. Then a voice spoke. It was calm, almost emotionless. Someone is going to die tonight. Linda frowned, assuming it was a prank call. They had received those before. Teenagers trying to scare dispatchers in the middle of the night. She sighed quietly. Sir, if this is a joke, you need to hang up. But the voice continued. There will be a murder tonight, before 1 a.m. Something about the way the caller spoke made Linda sit up a little straighter. The voice didn't sound like someone joking. It sounded certain. Where? She asked. There was a short pause. Willow Street, the house with the blue porch light. Linda quickly reached for a pen and wrote the address down. Who is this? She asked. The voice ignored the question. A man lives there. His name is Michael Turner. Linda's heart skipped slightly. Ma'am, the voice continued quietly. You should send someone. Linda looked across the room toward Officer Daniel Reeves, who was sitting at a desk filling out a report. She covered the phone slightly. Daniel, she said quietly, I've got someone claiming there's going to be a murder. Officer Reeves raised an eyebrow. Another prank call. Linda returned to the phone. What makes you think this will happen? She asked. The voice answered immediately. Because I know. Linda pressed the phone closer to her ear. How? The voice spoke again, slowly. The weapon will be a kitchen knife. Linda felt a chill run down her spine. Sir, I need you to identify yourself. The voice did not answer. Instead, it said one final thing. The murder will happen before 1 a.m. Then the line went dead. Linda stared at the phone for a moment. Officer Reeves walked over. What was that about? She handed him the note she had written. Someone claiming there's going to be a murder on Willow Street. Reeves chuckled slightly. People have weird hobbies. Linda nodded, but something about the call felt wrong. Still, there wasn't much they could do. The town had dozens of houses, and prank calls weren't unusual. So she logged the call in the system and returned to her desk. About 40 minutes later, the quiet night was broken again. Another call came in. This one was frantic. A woman's voice was shaking. I think something's wrong at my neighbor's house. Linda immediately grabbed a pen. What's the address? The woman told her. Linda froze. It was the same house. The house on Willow Street with the blue porch light. Officer Reeves was already reaching for his keys. I'll check it out. The drive took less than 5 minutes. Willow Street was dark and empty when he arrived. But one thing immediately caught his attention. The front door of the house was open. Reeves stepped out of the patrol car slowly and approached the entrance. Inside, the lights were on. Police, he called. No response. He stepped into the house. The living room was quiet. Then he saw something on the floor in the kitchen. A man, lying on his back. Reeves rushed forward. But it was already too late. The man was dead. A kitchen knife lay beside him. Later that night, detectives confirmed the victim's identity. Michael Turner, the same name the caller had mentioned. The estimated time of death was just minutes before 1 a.m., exactly as the caller had predicted. When Linda heard the news back at the station, she felt her stomach tighten. She immediately pulled the recorded phone call from the system. The detectives listened to it carefully. Every detail matched. The location, the victim, the weapon, even the time. Someone had known exactly what was about to happen. The question was how. Detectives began by tracing the phone call. The call had come from a public payphone nearly 3 miles away from the police station. But when officers arrived at the location, the street was empty. No one had seen anyone using the phone. The payphone itself offered almost no clues. There were no usable fingerprints. No witnesses. Nothing. It was as if the caller had disappeared into the night. Investigators then began looking into Michael Turner's life. Turner was a 42-year-old mechanic who had lived in Ashford for most of his life. He owned a small auto repair shop on the edge of town. Friends described him as quiet and hardworking. But like anyone, he had a few problems. A few weeks before the murder, Turner had been involved in a heated argument with his business partner, Eric Dalton. Dalton claimed Turner had been stealing money from the shop. The argument had become so intense that several employees had witnessed it. But when police questioned Dalton, he had an alibi. At the time of the murder, he had been at a bar across town. Several people confirmed it, so detectives looked elsewhere. They questioned Turner's family, his ex-wife, his brother, neighbors, but none of them had a clear motive, and none of them could explain the mysterious phone call. Weeks passed. The investigation stalled. The only real clue remained the call itself. Linda Harper was asked several times to describe the voice she had heard. She always gave the same answer. The caller sounded calm, strangely calm. There had been no anger in the voice, no panic, just certainty, almost like someone calmly describing something they had already seen. Months later, a detective named Robert Hale decided to review the recording again. He listened to it dozens of times. Then something caught his attention. In the background of the call, there was a faint sound. At first, it sounded like static, but after enhancing the audio, it became clearer. It was the sound of a ticking clock. Hale requested the audio recordings taken from the crime scene. There had been a wall clock in Michael Turner's kitchen, and when investigators compared the sounds carefully, the ticking matched. The caller may have been inside the house. If that was true, it meant the caller had been there before the murder happened. But that created another mystery. If the caller had been inside the house before the crime, why would they warn the police? And how had they known the exact moment the murder would occur? The more detectives examined the case, the stranger it became. The payphone records showed something unusual. According to the phone company, the call had lasted only 26 seconds. But Linda was certain she had spoken to the caller for nearly 2 minutes. The timing simply didn't match. It was as if the call had been partially erased. Years passed. The case slowly grew cold. The payphone was eventually removed from the street. Michael Turner's murder remained unsolved, but the recording of the call still exists. Investigators who have listened to it say the voice sounds almost detached, like someone calmly describing something inevitable. And near the end of the call, just before the line went dead, there is something else. Something very faint. 3 words whispered quietly. I was there. To this day, no one knows who made the call. No one knows how the caller knew the details of the murder before it happened. And no one knows whether the caller was trying to stop the crime or simply announcing it. The mystery of the phone call that predicted a murder remains unsolved. If you enjoy mysterious and unexplained stories like this, subscribe to the Mystery Archive for more.